A little bit more meditation, and this time we're doing a mantra, and that mantra is the Gayatri mantra, which is Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Let me show you the words so you can do it along with me. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. With mantras, it really helps if you sing along, if you chant along, because that engages all your senses and allows the mantra to go deep within you. Today we're going to read from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6. And this is a really important part of the Gita because it talks about the Ashtanga Yoga system, the yogic meditation system. Here we have in chapter 6, text number 7. Actually, I'll go back to 6 for a moment because although we've talked about it the last time, I'd like to just recap on that. For one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. An interesting word in here is the word remain. For a lot of us, we've been living with the greatest enemy, an untrained mind. There is nothing more tragic and more painful in what has happened to human society in this very thing, that we have failed to teach people how to be able to train their mind, how to tame their mind, and how to be able to have the mind in your control. That is, to be able to turn it off when you don't need it, to turn it on when you do need it, to be able to direct it in the way you want it to go, to be able to challenge it when it's making up assumptions and stories and stuff like that, to be able to literally command it to act according to you. But you see, the problem here is that most people don't know the difference between themselves and their mind. They think, for most people, they think that they are their mind. And if you've been thinking that way, I'd like to ask you to rethink it. After all, you have a mind. You are not your mind. You have a mind. Just as you have a body, you're not your body. Just as you have a car, you're not your car. You have a house, you're not your house. In the same way, you're not your mind. And if that is true, then what is the relationship between you and your mind? Is your mind controlling you, or are you controlling your mind? And if you are going to control your mind, then you need to know how to do that. And what is the end result of that? So there's the process for being able to tame and control your mind is meditation. That's why we start this group with meditation. And we do it for a few minutes. It's something you can do for 10, 20 minutes, a half an hour, whatever you like. You can do it as part of your day-to-day life. You can do it while doing all the things you do, or you can do it separately. It's up to you, or you can do both. It doesn't matter. But the important thing is to learn how to focus the mind, because the word for meditation in Sanskrit is dhyan. Dhyan means focus, attention. And if you can learn to focus your mind and put your attention on something, even if it is something mundane, cutting the fruit, washing the dishes, cooking some food, going on a walk, If you just bring your attention to a point, you will enter into a beautiful sacred zone, a place that is peaceful and calm, and where you feel happy for no reason at all. So, those of you that have done meditation will know what I'm talking about. And those of you that haven't, I encourage you to practice and to try it out. So, where does spirituality lead? That's what this chapter in the Bhagavad Gita is taking us to. It says, for one who has conquered the mind will be the best of friends. Okay, so let's say that happens. Now what? Then he goes on to explain, for one who has conquered the mind, the Paramatma, the super soul, is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. See, when there is tranquility, you can actually feel and experience what lies within you. You can experience your real self, your authentic self, your soul. And you can also experience the presence of the divine or God within you. It is known as Paramatma, the soul and the super soul, the Atma and the Paramatma, the great soul and the small soul. We are the small soul, by the way, we're not the great soul. We are not the Paramatma, we are the Atma. Atma means Anksh. Anksh means tiny fragment, part, a particle. We are a particle of the divine, like a drop of water to the ocean. So as a drop of water is into an ocean, as to an ocean, we are infinitesimal. We have visions of grandeur. We think we would like to be great. We want to excel and be something and be recognized and be known and be famous and be appreciated and be valued. But that is all the ego. That has nothing to do with the soul. The soul is witnessing us in this crazy human drama, trying to be something that in fact we're not and will never be. And whatever we become will be reduced to ashes at the end of our life. It will be reduced to nothing. All that we have achieved, all that we have attained, all that we've become, all that we think we are. So as Shakespeare said, it is a tale full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. What did he mean? He was saying to you that the most important thing that your entire life signifies is nothing. And in Vedic spirituality, we understand nothingness to be the most profound aspect of spirituality. What does nothingness mean? Nothingness is symbolized by the number 0. 0 is shunya. Shunya is nothing. Nothing is the beginning of everything. We all start off with nothing. We're children, we know nothing. We have nothing. Our parents are the ones who bring us up. They're the ones who have everything. We have nothing. We depend on them. And then as we grow up, we want to become something. And that trying to become something is the place where we struggle. That is the place of struggle. But when you recognize that you are in fact nothing, shunya, 0, then you begin to come to the place where true spirituality can blossom. Spirituality blossoms in a person who knows that they are nothing, that they know nothing, and that they have nothing. And that's the absolute truth. The truth is, whatever you have, you will die and leave it behind. So how is it yours? Whatever you think you are will be destroyed with death. So what is it that you are then? If you exist even after death, then are you the thing that you left behind? The body, the mind, the possessions? Or are you the thing that left that body and now moved on to the light? That thing that leaves the body, that is you. And that thing came to this world empty-handed and will leave empty-handed. So if you think about it, that's the thing that matters. That is the aim of spirituality, getting you to that place. Now, spirituality is not about self-improvement, as many people think. There's a whole movement of people wanting to improve themselves. Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. But real spirituality is uncovering spirit, the soul that is already perfect, that already has all the qualities you're looking for ready-made. It is its very nature. It is its swabhav. It is its dharma. It is its intrinsic quality. Dharma is the actual intrinsic quality of a thing, the swabhav. The swabhav, the nature of the soul, is that it is by nature peaceful, kind, loving. And all the things we're going to read about right now in the Bhagavad Gita are all already there in the soul. You do not need to become your soul. You already are your soul. You need to unearth it, unveil it, release it from the bondage of the mind, free it. And that freedom is liberation, that is moksha. So the Bhagavad Gita says this. He says that such a person is now able to contact their soul because they have attained tranquility. Attained tranquility. This is the thing that has to be attained, tranquility. What is tranquility? The mind becoming peaceful. Once the mind is peaceful, you can feel the presence of the soul. The first thing you feel is peaceful. Why? Because that's the radiance of the soul coming through you. That is the energy of the soul that you're experiencing. And that quality of the soul has many more layers to it. If you dive deeper into it, you will experience not only is it peaceful, but it's kind, it's loving, it's generous, it's warm, it's fearless, and much more. The Bhagavad Gita describes it like this. To such a person, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. See, the ego could never do this. The ego can never accept that honor and dishonor are the same. The ego can never accept that happiness and distress are the same. This is not something the ego does. The ego looks at the world as in dualistic terms. I like this, I don't like this. This gives me happiness, this gives me distress. It is not capable of doing this. You have to come to a higher plane, a higher vibration, a higher part of you that is capable of experiencing this state of consciousness. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. So it's talking about self-realization, to realize who you are, to realize the real self, to actually, and it says you attain this by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. It's not just knowledge. Just having the knowledge of the self, of the soul, is not enough. There has to be realization. How does realization happen? Self-realization. How does it happen? It happens when you do the practice of meditation and you experience the soul. And as you experience it, you realize, oh my gosh, the real me is so beautiful. The real me is so wise. The real me is so kind and loving, and everything I've ever wanted to be is right in here, right in me. And the real me is there in everyone. Now you can see it. Not only do you see it in yourself, but you begin to find it everywhere. You begin to find it in nature. You begin to find it in other people. And because you do, here's what happens. You begin to see everything, whether it is pebbles, stones, or gold, as the same. You have now become a transcendent being. You have transcended the influence of the world. And that begins by transcending the power that the mind has on you, the control that it has on you. You have broken free of its grasp. And from there, you begin your journey, your spiritual journey. And it doesn't look the same for everyone. For some people, it might be about going and living in the mountains or in a forest or a cave. For others, it might be about living in an ashram or a monastery. For others, it might be just being at home, being in a family, being in a relationship, and being able to attain that state and live in that state here and now. I've seen all those stages, and I've seen that the most profound is learning how to be in this world. And as Christ said, to be in the world, but not of the world. Do not let the world contaminate you. Do not let the world make you afraid or anxious or fearful, but rather to be in the world and to feel safe, to know that you're taken care of, that you are connected to the divine, to God. That's a powerful place to come to know that you are safe in the world, that you have, and if you really take this deeper, it's knowing that you have a relationship with the divine, that you are with God, and that you are protected. It's powerful. Walk with me and you'll get to learn more about this. If you have any questions and would like to ask something, please feel free to put up your hand and let me know. I'll be glad to take any questions. A person is still considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious, friends and enemies, the pious and sinners, all with an equal mind. A transcendentalist should always engage body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. As I said, this is one path. He is right now describing one path, which is the path of the yogi. There are many paths. The Bhagavad Gita is all about the many different ways of attaining the same goal, whether that is through living in the world or detaching from the world. In this particular chapter, we're reading about the practice of yoga. But keep in mind that there are many different kinds of yogas and many different kinds of yogis. I sometimes find people don't realize this. They think that the yogi is only the person who meditates or who does the different yoga poses. But that's not the only kind of yogi that there is. There is yoga that is definitely one form of yoga, and a very beautiful form of yoga, no doubt. But there is yoga that has to do with gyan or knowledge. And then there is yoga that has to do with bhakti or devotion. There are different kinds of yoga, and each of them has its own merits. And if you actually begin to combine them, you begin to see that they all work together. They are not separate. I find that in my journey, I found that when I simply tried to go into bhakti, I was having a hard time in being able to control my mind. When I started adding to that now, meditation, yogic practices of meditation, maybe even some pieces from Buddhism, maybe some pieces even from other places, I found that by weaving together different practices and finding what fits me, I was able to evolve a strategy of meditation that actually worked. And so I recommend that you practice and try different things. The end result is what Krishna is describing to you here. Unfortunately, what happens is with most of these modern day new age self-help, self-improvement kind of processes, there's no clarity about what is the end result. What are the symptoms of advancement? What are the symptoms of spiritual progress? Most people think it's just about healing your wounds. Excuse me, healing your wounds, that's what you call spirituality? No, not at all. That's a tiny little 5% of what spirituality is about. It is there, sure. You know, you need to have a better functioning human body and mind. And for that, you do need to look at the psychological wounding of your life and how to heal that and so on and so forth. Absolutely. Nothing wrong in it. Nothing is wrong as such. Yes, you need to keep your body healthy. You need to keep your ego healthy. You need to keep your mind healthy. No doubt about that. But is that the goal of spirituality? Is that what these symptoms are? Is that how you recognize a spiritual person? No, no. Spiritual person is recognized by the symptoms that Krishna is describing here. Equanimity, the ability to see everything as the same, because when you're to do that, you have to be able to see the energy that lies behind everything, that lies behind matter. You need to be able to see the soul that lies behind the human that you're interacting with. And when you can touch into the soul of the human, then you realize that all humans, whether they're a murderer, a rapist, a cannibal, a saint, or a sinner, they're all the same. When you look at the energy behind matter, the energy in gold is the same as the energy in a stone, is same as the energy in any other piece of matter. So then that is the level at which equanimity takes place. You're looking behind the veil of reality. You're looking behind that which is visible to your eyes and your senses. And you're set. And how do you look behind? Not that you develop some X-ray vision, you don't become like Superman or Superwoman, and now you've got these lights coming out of your eyes. No, you actually are able to feel and experience it. Because once you've experienced that energy of your soul within yourself through meditation, you're now able to experience and feel that in others and in the world and in nature. Once again, if any of you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I'd be happy to ask you if there's any things that are not clear in what I'm saying. Now, in the next few verses, Krishna goes on, verse numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. He goes on to describe the yogic process about how one should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line, stare steadily at the tip of the nose, and thus with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, one should meditate upon the divine or God within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God. He then continues in text number 16 to say that there is no possibility of becoming a yogi if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. He was regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work, can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And a yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence. He is said to be well established in yoga. And now here's the symptom. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. So, as a lamp in a windless place does not waver. Does that mean that we have to live in some ideal place where there is no turmoil, no ups and downs of life? No. That's where you can start. That's a good place to start, in the quiet of your house to meditate and so on, in a nice park, a place where things are peaceful. But then bring that meditative state into everything you do, in every aspect of your life. Challenge it by all the different situations that you come across, because in challenging it, in challenging that state of mind, your consciousness will grow. See, this world is like it's like a gym where we get to exercise and develop our muscles. What are we exercising? We're exercising our consciousness, strengthening its ability to be powerful while still in a human body, mind, organism. We are taking that which is already powerful and perfect and strengthening it. There's no need, but it does bring us. You see, we come to this world not because this is a place just to get out of. It's a trashy place and we got to just trash it and get out of here. No. This world was designed to help us through all the pains and sufferings we go through all the miseries and hardships and heartaches and brokenness that we experience, to evolve here. Because as this world pushes on you, you need to learn to stand up to it. And that force that can stand up to it is not, you can try it with your mind and your body, sure. And you can try and build a nice house or have a good family or whatever. Those things can do so much. And then there are tidal waves that come across in your life, big turmoil, that'll shake all of it up. Tsunamis. We've all had them. But to withstand those tsunamis, it's important to cultivate your spiritual side. And as you cultivate that, you'll find that it begins to gain a greater strength and power. It's like you've activated it, and now it's becoming an intrinsic part of your life. And as it becomes an intrinsic part of your life, everything you do is seen with a spiritual vision. You're no longer seeing things the way most people do. So most people will think you've gone crazy or something is wrong with you. And in fact, they're probably right. Yeah, but that's the place we want to come to. That is the place where nothing and no one can hurt you. That is the place where nothing and no one can bother you. There's a little story about Buddha being yelled at by this man who thought he was a hoax and a cheater. According to that man, he was taking all these young, wonderful people and asking them to follow a monastic kind of life, give up their family and society and everything that was there, become monks. So this person thought, this fellow's just another person going around brainwashing everybody. And so he was yelling away at Buddha, saying, "You're a cheater, you're a fraud, you're deluding people, you're leading them the wrong way, leading them astray, leading the youth astray." And Buddha just sat there listening to him. After he left, his disciple Ananda asked him, "How is it, Master, that you are not bothered by this man's insults that he was actually throwing at you and the nasty things that he is saying at you?" And Buddha says to him, he says, "When a person gives you a gift and you do not take it, who does the gift belong to?" Think about that. When someone insults you and you do not take it, you don't accept it. See, most people accept it. They accept it, they personalize it, they get offended, they get hurt, they get angry, they get sad because they took the gift of that person's anger. They took it, and not only they took it, they held it to their heart. And not only they held it to their heart, but they engulfed their whole mind in it. They kept thinking about what this person said, and they kept playing it back to themselves again and again and again. And the more they played it back, the more upset they got. And the more upset they got, the more hurt they felt. The more hurt they felt, the deeper it went into their heart. And the more it went into their heart, it started messing with their day and with their life, with their mood and their ability to do things, to work or whatever else. And now they were just so badly hurt. Now they got to go and talk to their friends and go to talk to their therapist. And it's going to take hours and hours to deal with something someone said. But Buddha said, if someone gives you a gift and you do not take it, then who does the gift belong to? If someone spoke unkind words to you and you did not take it, then who do those unkind words belong to? Think about that. Right? Whatever it is, do you take the weather to heart? Do you feel that the weather has an ability? Do you give it the power to change your mood, your state of mind? Do you take circumstances to heart? When you lose a job or when things don't go the way you want, do you take it to heart? Do Do you mull over it? Do you think over what went wrong and how could this happen and why me and what does it mean? And when someone leaves you, breaks up a relationship, do you then make that all about what is wrong with me? Why am I why am I always in this situation? Why am I always going through this? Look at other people. They are so happy, especially if you go on Facebook, right? They all seem so happy. But then that's where we're taking that gift and we're now mulling it in our head. But what if you didn't? What if you saw each situation as just that? It's a situation. I lost my job. Oh, I lost this client. Oh, I'm going to be broke. All right, I'm going to be rich. Okay. To not be affected either way. Either way. That is the key to the yogic practice, to become equal to both honor and dishonor, fame and infamy, gain and loss, to see them all with the same vision. Now, if you find it difficult to do, of course, it is difficult to do. It is very difficult to do for the human mind and ego because it is always comparing and it seems to like pleasure over pain and seems to like to get what it wants and doesn't like it when it doesn't get what it wants. I always say that it's like a baby. When a baby gets candy, baby is happy. And baby doesn't get candy, baby cries. The ego is basically just like that. Our level of development, most of us, is like a baby. That is to say, our egoic development. And it will always be that, unless we change the operating system from ego to soul. Once you do, once you connect with your soul, once you realize this is the real me, and once you start living from that place, you will find that the world looks different. You will see things differently. And when you see things differently, the world will respond to you differently. People will respond to you differently. Situations will happen differently. By differently, I don't mean they're going to be all perfect and hunky-dory. No, not at all. But you will just not have the same reaction. Or even if you have an immediate reaction, it will quickly pass as you challenge it, as you begin to realize, oh, this is not reality. The reality is me. What is lies in me. That is the reality. Reality is not what is happening in the world. Reality is that part of me, my soul. That is the reality. In the Vedic system, they always say that that which is eternal is that which is real, and that which is temporary is that which is false. Everything in this world is temporary and therefore false. And everything that is within the soul and the energy of the world is real because it is eternal. It has no beginning or end. All right, guys, I'm waiting to hear from you. I've thrown out the question a few times, but now I'm going to stake my grounds. I want to hear from you. What's going on? What are you hearing? What questions do you have?
It's just a lot for me to take in.
All right. Start with whatever it is. Take one piece of whatever you're having a hard time taking in. Is there one thing that let's start with something.
The last verse we read was the lamp in a windless place.
Right. What about that? Remember, it is describing to you the goal, where you will land, not the process. The process was also described earlier about the yogic process, and there are different processes. And you might be looking at how do I get started. So don't be mystified by how will I attain the goal. The goal will be attained not through your effort. not through your struggle, but in unlocking the power within you. That power is already there. You don't have to create it. You don't have to make it. You don't have to become it. You don't have to achieve it. It's already here. Your soul is already here. It already has the capability to do everything he's talking about. What you will need to practice is learning to keep your mind quiet, keep it out of the way. That part you will need to do. Once you do that, you'll be able to feel this energy within and you'll be able to actualize it. You'll be able to self-actualize, as Abraham Maslow calls it. But this is a level beyond self-actualization. This is self-realization. To realize, not just to know yourself, but to realize. It means to live it, to make real. And that would be a simple way of understanding self-realization, to make real the self, who you are at the soul level.
I'm just thinking about like, how do you know which one is your soul? Or
Okay.
like,
All right. So let's do a little experiment. All right. Take a few deep breaths right now. A few deep breaths. It's just a few deep breaths, nothing else. Let the breath go all the way down into your belly as you breathe. And notice how you feel inside as your mind becomes quieter and quieter and quieter. Notice how you feel. Keeping your eyes closed, keeping your attention on your breath, and breathing deeply. Noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. Just being present to them. Notice how you feel. When you have a word, say it aloud.
nothing. Feels like
Good.
nothing.
I think it's a great place. Okay, good. Lovely. What else do you feel?
Somewhat lighter.
Yes. Wonderful. Would you say a little peaceful and calm?
Yeah.
Okay. You just made contact with the aliens. You made contact with your soul because this peace, this calm, this feeling of nothing. Nothing means there's nothing good or nothing bad. There's nothing positive or nothing negative. This is the place of zero. You made contact. This is the place where things feel peaceful and calm naturally. You made contact. You see, it only took you a minute and you felt it. So it's that easy to access and that natural. Start believing that you can be there because what you're seeking already exists. It's already here in its fullness, in its beauty, in its grandeur. It is already here. This is blocking it, your thoughts. This is in the way. So learn to get this out of the way. There's many different techniques. I do a whole course on this. You're part of that, Megan. And in that course, I will teach you all the different ways in which to get past this. I've done a whole meditation thing in our course recently. Do the practices and you'll see for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have missed it, then watch the videos. They're on the course. But for the rest of you, practice the mantras like we did today. Do the Om mantra if you like. Right? That's a great start. Just start to chant Ma. We did that, remember, today? For those of you that missed that, it's here. This. A-U-M. Ma. And just do that the way we did it. And breathe again. Now you may say, okay, I want instant results. No, you don't. You don't get instant results. You'll get some instant result, but to get to the point that he's describing here, where like you become like a lamp in a windless place that does not waver, that will take practice. That will take many months of practice. That will take maybe even many years of practice. I think usually if you do it the way I'm showing you, you will find that in a few months you'll get there. It's not actually difficult, but the mind thinks it is difficult. Because for the mind, it is difficult. You're trying to get it out of the way. So it's going to tell you, hey, this is really difficult. You shouldn't do this. Don't waste your time with it. It certainly doesn't want to be made redundant. But we're not going to make it redundant. We're just going to limit the mind so that it is used for the things it is best at doing, practical things. You know, doing your studies, paying your bills, taking care of the taxes, practical things that have to be done. How do you get from point A to point B? This is a machine, it's a computer. And once you give it the importance that it deserves, but no more. See, right now, the computer is controlling us. Back in the 70s or so, there was a book by Arthur C. Clarke, a science fiction book called 2001, A Space Odyssey. And in that book, and then which became a big famous movie, they had a supercomputer in the spaceship. No, it was not a space, it was a space station. And the supercomputer called HAL began to actually control the humans. And it's a wonderful analogy for how our computer, this computer, is now controlling the human, you, me, us, right? And it's important to get out of its grip, or it's just ruining the whole experience for us by making us anxious, by making us depressed, by making us fearful, by making us worried. It's not letting us live. It's trying to figure everything out. It's trying to control everything. It cannot, and we will not let it. It's simply driving us crazy. And that's why I started off today talking about how this is the saddest thing that has happened on this planet. More than all the illnesses and earthquakes and wars and everything else. The saddest thing is this: human beings have not been taught how to befriend their mind, how to tame their mind, how to control their mind. They haven't been taught. And so as a result, even the ones who are not destroyed by all these calamities that occur, the ones who are living, the 7 billion people on this planet, they don't know how to be happy. The art of being happy, the art of feeling happy regardless of circumstances, regardless of what you have or don't have, regardless of whether it's hot or cold or what the situation is or what the country is. Be happy. How to feel loved, whether you have a partner or you don't. How to feel that you can, how to feel confident in any situation. All of that comes by first learning to tame the mind, which is critical and punishing and beating you day in and day out. It's calling you names. It's telling you you're stupid. You don't know how to do this. You don't know how to do that. What is wrong with you? That mind must be controlled. And it's the biggest tragedy that it's no longer being taught. Not since thousands of years. It's caused the decline of human civilization, not the ascension of human civilization as we think. What has ascended is our technologies. What has risen up is our sciences. But the human being has degraded. That's the tragedy of our modern time. We need to develop this technology of the human being. I'm nothing against the other technologies. That's fine, great, good. But this is the real technology. Technology of being human. Anyone else? Nirmala? Swati? So good to have you guys here. Do you have any questions? Swati, are you driving?
For a change, no. I got home a few minutes ago. Yeah.
Come on then, show us your face and tell us what's happening. What did you think? What are your feedback?
Um, no, I was tuning in and I was processing everything you were saying, and it was such a beautiful reminder because right now I feel like I'm just like running 24/7, and you know, we just you know, there's just um such an attachment to feeling safe and secure. You know, it's like exactly what you were saying. It's like we and even the smallest like problem, I see it as a threat or a crisis, and I'm like, I have to remind myself, no, this is not bad at all, come on. You know, so it's like
Yeah.
yeah, um yeah, just given what I'm going through right now, it's just harder and harder to detach myself from you know, all those attachments to you know, having security in life, in my job, you know, things like that. So it's yeah.
What I would recommend to you, Swati, is look at this is firstly, let me acknowledge that struggle is very genuine. It
Yeah,
is the basic struggle that every
yeah,
human being has. Okay. If you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
yeah,
safety, security come right at the first level. That is the most essential thing for human beings.
right,
Having acknowledged that, that being our human condition, we need to find a level of safety and security within ourselves that is unshakable by the circumstances of this world, because the circumstances of this world are going to rock us here and there and up and down, right?
yeah, yeah,
There's no predicting the world. There's no
right,
way to make sure that I can say to you, look, Swati, everything in your life is just going to go great, and
right. No, it
they will
doesn't.
not. Just no one can say that, and it
No,
won't be true
no.
even if they did. Just giving you a bunch of platitudes or some such.
No,
Like
and it's going to be short-lived. Like just given the
yeah,
long
yeah,
cycles, that there's
yeah,
going to be happy times and not so happy times. So it's
exactly.
just like coaching myself, because right now it's like I'm a healer, I meditate, and I do healings as well. But you know, these days my service has gone down, and so because there's just no time, and I feel like many times I'm like my soul is starving. You know, it's like for
Mhm.
my career, for example, I have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like you know, it's like we're so attached to like having security, but I'm like, oh, my real self and my soul is like really starving in the process, and I'm like, oh, there are greater needs that are not even being taken care of, and you know, we're just talking about like the material needs or the external needs,
Correct.
you know. So
Swati, do one thing every day, 5 minutes before you go into work,
yeah,
meditate 5 minutes.
okay.
All right. Give yourself some time to connect with that soul, right? Five
I
minutes
do.
before you
Sometimes
go.
I wake up a little bit early, like half an hour early, and I'm just like lying in bed, and I will just say I'm the soul affirmation, or I'll go through my meditations that are just like 20 minutes, and they will help, you know, because sometimes my body is too tired to like sit up and meditate, but even like just like having that play in the background as I'm just like gently waking up, that helps a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
The important thing is this. I know that you're doing affirmations and other things, but the important thing is this: do a practice that actually quiets your mind.
Right.
So that's why I recommend, doing something like a mantra, because mantras are very powerful,
Right.
right? And so if you do that and you do it aloud, and you do it in a way that you're reciting it and then you're listening, because this is a simultaneous loop that is created in here, and
Right.
that you will find, along with deep breathing, if you do it, you'll find that it really deeply quietens your mind. So
Right.
do that, because you need efficiencies. You need
Yeah.
to be able to do in a very short time something very
Yeah.
effectively, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying do it. And if you do the mantra, like I was doing Om right now, or the
Yeah.
Gayatri mantra, or the Hare Krishna mantra,
Yeah.
do them intensely for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
intense to the point where your mind really, you feel the shift in energy.
Right.
Then you'll take on your day differently. It's not like you need hours and hours. It's wonderful if you have that time, but if you
Right.
don't, at least do this. Connect. No, it's like it's
I
like giving
try
your
to do
soul a
that
hug.
as I'm driving, or sometimes even when I'm getting ready in the morning. Like I will tune into something on YouTube, you know, whether it's like a bhajan on Ganesha or Hanuman Chalisa or whatever it is, it's like always like, because I want to set the tone right.
Right, exactly.
So passively I'm absorbing, or even while driving to work, I will call in Lord Ganesha to remove obstacles from my path and everything, so it's like, I try and tune in as much as I can. Yeah.
But like you use the word passively, be a little more active.
Yeah,
Sing along.
maybe
That's all. Sing along.
because sometimes the mind wanders, right? Like even
That's how you'll stop it from wandering, by singing along.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing you said very rightly is guiding your mind. When it's starting to go in the panic place or it's starting to go into worry mode, bring it back and say, hey, it's okay, it's going to be fine. You have to be the elder to that mind. You have to be the grown-up in the relationship. You got to be the one that is directing it.
Right.
Bring it back in and say, hey, it's going to be all right, don't worry. I've got this under control. I'm here. So the place of safety should not be out there, but should be in here.
Inside.
As long as you do that, and as long as you then relate to your mind and its fears from this place and say, hey, I've got your back. I've got you. You'll be fine. You'll be okay. If you speak to it like that, you'll find that it becomes calmer and more reassured.
Right.
Because as a human being, of course, it's natural to feel unsafe in the world. So you need to acknowledge that. Just give it the acknowledgement it needs. Don't tell it, oh, shut up, go away.
No, I can't say there's no peace in my garden, right? Like,
Right.
so like,
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here and sharing. Those of you that know that I do a second group, which was of the Loving Soulfully, I'm shifting that to a different platform altogether. So I'm kind of taking it off of Zoom and Meetup here, and I'm going to bring that onto something called Clubhouse. I'm going to take that as an audio only and change the timing and everything else. So I'm not going to actually be doing these back to back as I was doing them earlier. Little change of plans. But yeah, any last things before we wind up for today?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Nirmala. Thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful to have you here the last few times.
It's a different vocabulary, so I have to, it's like learning a new language.
Nirmala is very new to all this. So thank you for being here, and I hope we're at least speaking the basic language the same.
When you explain stuff, it's really helpful, but then for me to say stuff and reply, it's very hard.
Okay.
Right? Like you don't know the language, so to say it.
But here's the part. You can always ask a question about what you didn't understand. Right? You could say, well, what is this thing you're talking about? What is this soul you're talking about? What is this God you're talking about? What is all this all about? You feel free to do that.
Well, you're making me think of things connecting things I've never connected before. It's very interesting. But I'm not very fast, so it takes time.
Okay, take your time. No problem.
Thanks.
This is a platform where questioning is welcome, seeking is welcome. And it's not that you have to know. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is to think that they need to know everything. Knowing is not of value here. Not knowing is of value. Being empty is of value. Being silent is of value. I might be talking, but it's of no use if someone doesn't take it and apply it. It means nothing. Poof, gone. Megan, anything else?
No, thank you.
Right.
So Rohit, do we have the second session today, or is it the same Zoom link, or has it been?
No, I'm going to start it. But I think by next week I'll have figured it out. And then I'll announce it and everything else. So
okay, so we conclude for the day today.
We're concluding for the day, yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
perfect. Okay,
right.
Okay.
I have a quick
about the other group.
Quick question.
Sure.
Quick question. So the meditation, like I notice my mind is very busy in the night. So I might just be calm and collected when I'm like, I'm a logical sort of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all those things I didn't allow to bug me, then in the night they start talking, right? So I've heard people say it's really good to meditate in the morning, but does it matter if it's morning or night, or is?
So I'll tell you this, that when you have your stuff coming up at night, have a meeting with your mind. And when you have a meeting, have the main points of the agenda there. What are the things we want to talk about today? All right. And then keep it succinct. Don't dwell on stuff too much. Like you have a meeting at work, have a meeting with your mind. Go over the main points. If there are simply things to do, put them down on a to-do list. If there are issues around, and if there are things that happen that you have no control over, well, then I have no control over that. If there are things that are assumptions, then challenge them. Be the boss in this situation. Be the CEO of your mind.
But then when the mind starts going off on a tangent and, going in a loop.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
So when does the meditation happen? After the
Then
meeting?
meditate. Then meditate.
Okay.
First do what I call a mind dump.
Okay.
Get all the stuff out, get it dealt with, get it out of the way, then meditate. The reason they tell you to meditate in the morning is because you're starting up fresh. And so you have a fresh mind to work with. You'll be more likely to get into your meditation. If you're going to do it at night, then first clear your mind and give it a time frame. 15 minutes, we're going to do this. All right. If you feel journaling helps you, some people do journaling, they write it down. If you just want to be able to have a meeting, if you don't have anybody else in the house, then just have a verbal meeting, or you can have it in your head, doesn't matter. But set a time frame, make the agenda there, and clear everything off the agenda. Be done, keep it short, succinct, to the point. Don't get into long discussions with your mind. It's not necessary. But main thing is be the CEO, be the boss.
Right.
Right? And direct the meeting. And once it's over, you've heard it out, done, thank you, enough, time up. Right? Set an alarm if you set a timer if you have to. You decide the time. What's an adequate time? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, a half hour, whatever it is. Then meditate.
Okay.
Meditation
Do you do
will be way
retreats?
better.
Do you do retreats when it's not COVID?
When it's not COVID, I probably will. I would like to.
Oh, you've done in the past, or?
I haven't, but I would
Okay.
like to. I'm now moving in that direction. I'm creating entire courses and stuff like that. So retreats will definitely come up with that.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great night. Take care.